There are some very important parts of the brain which are closely related to language learning. Two main areas associated in frontal lobe with language are Broca's area and Wernicke's area, which are connected by a band of neurons which is called as arcuate fasciculus. So, these two areas, this is the Broca's area, this is the Wernicke's area, and there is a nerve band which is connecting these two areas, and that nerve band is called as arcuate fasciculus. And it is found that this nerve band is present even in deaf people. Let us try to understand that how language processing takes place in area above temporal lobe on left side of brain. As far as Broca's area is concerned, it is more related to speech production, and Wernicke's area is more related to speech comprehension. Motor cortex, it controls the muscles of tongue, hand and arms, and arcuate fasciculus, it connects Wernicke's areas with the Broca's area. Let us try to find their location in this picture. This part of the area is called as the motor area, and this is the Broca's area, that is the location in the frontal lobe, and Wernicke's area, that is located in the parietal lobe. So, that band of neurons which is connecting these two areas, that is called as arcuate fasciculus. As far as Broca's area is concerned, it helps us to speak with expressions, and linked to speech production, and recent studies have shown that it also plays significant role in language comprehension. So, this area which is related to speech production is also helping us in language comprehension and speak with expressions. Broca's area work in conjunction with working memory to allow person to use verbal expression and spoken words. Working memory means that it is the cognitive system with the limited capacity that can hold information temporarily. A lot of memory which is present in our brain, but when we are doing some particular function, then out of that storehouse of memory, some memory is extracted and temporarily stored so that we can perform that function well. That is called as the working memory. Working memory, it operates for a very short time, and sometimes it is operating only for a few seconds. So, that is why it is called as the temporary memory. It helps us to manipulate the information and also help us to focus our attention on few elements which we are using for that cognitive task. So, that means whatever work we are doing at that particular time, what memory is required for that, that is called as the working memory. It helps us to reason, and it also helps us in guiding our decision making and behavior. So, Broca's area, it works in conjunction with the working memory, and it allows a person to form verbal expression. So, next is that what happens if this Broca's area is damaged. Due to damage in Broca's area, there will be broken speech, and speaker cannot find words or grammar to express. So, because it will give him inability to express by using language, it is also called as expressive aphasia or Broca's aphasia. So, this is a condition in which the patient is not able to speak even though his motor skills are working fine. So, if someone is not able to speak in spite of having motor skills because he is not finding the correct grammar or correct words, and his speech is broken, that condition is called as expressive aphasia. It is characterized by partial loss of ability to produce language, and this inability may be in all different forms, may be in spoken or written. In both kinds of language expression, the expression will be faulty. Although comprehension is generally intact, so they are able to understand what the other person is saying, but they are not able to express their own ideas. Patient is not able to express themselves by more than a few words or a few sentences, and that too may be they are using only noun or verb and they are not using other agrammatical inflections, and they know that what they want to say, but they are not able to verbalize their thought. For example, if you ask them that what would you like to have in the dinner today? So instead of explaining what they want to have, the answer may be coming like no eggs. That they want to express, they are not able to express, so they communicate their message by minimum number of words. A listener can usually understand the meaning, but the person who is suffering with aphasia, he also feels that he is not able to express his idea and may feel frustrated. Then next area that is of importance is Wernicke's area. It helps us to understand the written and spoken language, and if this area is damaged, then it will be shown as fluent aphasia. In this case, words which do not make sense and they tumble out, thus become incomprehensible. So this is a condition in which the patient is speaking the words but very fluently, and he himself is not able to understand whether he is speaking correct grammar or not. Because of that, the word seems to be coming out of his mouth in a stream of words which cannot be understood very clearly by the listener, and the patient himself is also not able to understand what he is speaking. This type of aphasia is called as receptive aphasia or Wernicke's aphasia. It is hard for the person to understand spoken or written language, while the ease of producing connected speech is not very affected. So he is not able to understand what he is speaking or what he is writing, but the speed of speaking or writing is very fast. And patients with Wernicke's aphasia have impaired comprehension of their own speech, and thus they don't recognize that they are making so many errors in their speech. They may speak very easily and fluently, and they may be using very long and complex sentences, and they don't understand that their sentences are not making any sense and they are not recognized correctly because there are so many incorrect or unnecessary words present in the sentence. They are not able to understand the spoken language, and they don't realize that others also can't understand what they are saying. This is also related to all language skills, maybe reading, writing, speaking and understanding. Poor phonological skills are indicators of dyslexia, that is another learning disability, and phonological awareness is ability to identify and manipulate the sounds, as we have studied it before also. A phonological learning disorder is a difficulty working with sounds and linking them to proper symbols that they represent. So these are some of the learning disabilities which are related to specific areas. Aphasia is a loss of ability to produce or understand language. So, aphasia is a wider term which is used to show that a learner is having disability to produce or to understand language. Combination of Broca's aphasia and fluent aphasia, that is called as the global aphasia. So, sometimes both the areas they may be damaged or they are not working properly, and that condition will be called as global aphasia, which is characterized by poor comprehension and difficulty in forming words and sentences, with severe disability in expression and comprehension due to extensive damage in brain's language networks. Similarly, when arcuate fasciculus is damaged, that may cause conduction aphasia, because information is not going from one area to the other area properly, and this is characterized by inability to repeat even when they have understood what is being said. So, if you say something to the learner and ask him to repeat it, they will not be able to say it again, because there is lag in conduction of information from one area to other area. Then another is agraphisia, which is an inability to write, and anomia, which is inability in naming things. There are quite many other different kinds of aphasia, and they may be related to different parts of the brain, and they may be giving different kinds of inabilities. In general, aphasia is affected due to faulty language input, and they are not able to read properly, and they may not be able to speak properly. Input is something through which we receive the information. Reading and understanding are two different forms of input. Input, like when we are perceiving a word in written format, and we may be perceiving some information in the form of photos also, and we process it in our brain to understand them. And aphasia, it often affects outputs also. So, both input and output may be affected. Input may be in the form of reading and understanding, and output may be in the form of writing or speaking. And because of this, the person is not able to express himself. So, these all are different types of aphasia which may be present due to faulty processing of language or due to some damage in some part of the brain. So, we have understood how different parts of brain they help us in learning languages. There are many cortical functions which result from working together of different parts of brain, and different parts of brain they reciprocate each other. Due to this, large scale functionally specialized neural networks are formed. Neural networks means when neurons of one part of the brain they form a connection with the neurons of the other part of the brain. For example, in temporofrontal network, where the network will be formed, it is formed between the temporal lobe and frontal lobe. So, if we look at this picture, we can see that this part of the brain is the frontal lobe, and in the frontal lobe, primary motor cortex and somatic motor cortex areas are present. So, that means these areas are mainly related to the motor activities. Just below the frontal lobe, on the right and left side of the brain, the temporal lobes are present. Temporal lobes, they are having auditory cortex, that means that part of the brain which is related to receiving the auditory stimuluses, and it also help us in understanding and analyzing the sounds. So, those connections which are formed between temporal lobe and frontal lobe, they will be helping us in coordinating the hearing and the motor functions. So how this function happens is that after hearing and analyzing sound by the cortex, which is present in the auditory cortex, that is in the temporal lobe, temporofrontal networks located in the left hemisphere will proceed to syntactic and semantic identification in order to classify words and find their corresponding things. So what happens is that first the temporal lobe, it helps us in hearing and analyzing the sound. Then through temporofrontal network, the information is sent to the frontal lobe, and this function is mainly of left hemisphere of the brain. And what happens here, that due to this transfer of information or this working together of different parts of the brain, we are able to understand syntax and semantic identification of the words. So let us try to understand what is this syntax and what is semantics. Syntax means the study of sentence structure or the rules of the grammar, with the help of which we can understand the word meaning through sentence structure. We can frame the phrases and we can form the sentences out of the words by using grammar structures, and this is called as the syntax. Whereas semantics is the study of meaning of the sentence. That means how that word has been used in the sentence and what is the meaning of that word in that sentence. That is called as the semantics. It helps us to understand the word meaning through actual meaning of words in the sentences. So sometimes we see that in language there are words which have multiple meanings, or there are homonyms and homographs. So these types of words, they may confuse the learner. Having common meaning for a word will make the language easy to understand by everyone. So this is the function of left hemisphere of the brain. So what is the left hemisphere doing? It is analyzing the sounds, then with the help of temporofrontal network, it is helping us to understand the syntax and semantics and thus classify the words into proper meaning so that we can understand what is the structure of the sentence, and we can also understand that what is the meaning of word in that particular sentence. Where this function is happening? This is happening in the left hemisphere. So that tells us that left hemisphere is more associated with the language learning, but right hemisphere is also having its own function. The next step is a sentence level analysis supported by the right hemisphere. So in the right hemisphere, such connections which are formed between temporal and frontal network, they help us to understand the sentence level analysis. Sentence level analysis means how different sentences they have been arranged and how phrases are formed, how clauses are formed, and what is the inter-word relationship in the sentence. So that is how left part of the brain and the right part of the brain, they are performing these different functions, but both these functions, they are helping us to understand the language.